Hey guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Well, today, guys, before we start the video, I have a huge announcement to make. The West Coast Taco Shop is officially up and running, and you can place your order today if you're interested in purchasing a hat, shirt, or patch at westcoasttaco.shop. And guys, I just ask for you to be patient and bear with me during this time, as this is a brand new endeavor. Just know that our team will be working as hard as we can to get products in and get them out the door as quickly as possible. And for those of you who are curious as to what my plan is with this line of apparel, just know that I think you're going to be very, very excited to see what I have coming out in the near future. My goal here, guys, is to create a Tacoma apparel line that captures the heritage, the heart, and the spirit of the Tacoma owner. And I felt like it was only fitting to start off some of my first patches with the original Toyota pickup 4x4 as just kind of commemorating where all of this started, how the Tacoma was kind of birthed and the platform it started off with. And as time progresses, guys, some of these patches will not be in production. They're going to be limited runs, and I will be creating a new patch, a new design, kind of like a new theme on a quarterly basis to capture the history of where the Tacoma's been, the people it's impacted, and how it's impacting us today. So I'm really excited because I think you guys are going to find a lot of history. You're going to find a lot of Easter eggs, and you're going to find a lot of really fun and cool designs. And you're not just going to see the same exact logo on the shop on a regular basis. In fact, you guys haven't even seen my official logo that I have currently in the works right now. So for those of you guys who are just curious and you guys are excited about some of this stuff, I'm going to be doing beanies, jackets, new hats, new patches, new shirts. I'm going to have a ladies line coming out for all of you ladies out there that like hitting the trails, that love your Tacoma. I'm really excited to push out some of this stuff to you guys. I think you're going to be really pumped and really stoked to see what I've done. So stay tuned, guys, and without further delay, let's get into today's video. Well, guys, it's officially been 1 year of not only owning my Toyota Tacoma, but it's been officially 1 year of the West Coast Taco channel. And what an interesting and crazy year it's been for me, guys. I started off this channel with no intentions to really create a platform that it has become. And by no means is it this, titan of a channel, but I had no vision and no expectations. The whole entire purpose of creating this channel to begin with was really to hone in on certain topics that I felt really weren't being documented and talked about with the third gen Tacoma. And so, now I look at how far things have come, and I just want to give a huge shout out and thank you to all of you guys who have been checking out the channel, who have subscribed, who have been commenting. I appreciate your support. It means more than you know, and it's just been crazy, guys. I started this platform, this YouTube channel, with zero experience with social media. Didn't even have, a Facebook. Still don't have a Facebook, but like zero experience when it came to taking videos and posting things on just different various social media platforms. And you look at some of my first videos and it's pretty clear that I had no idea as to what I was doing. Still don't know what I'm doing. But really just trying to make every video I make a little bit better than the last. And I really hope that the last portion, the last quarter of the year, in regards to the videos I've been making, have just been better quality. The footage has been better. I've been really trying to push myself and just creating a better product for you guys, because you guys are the ones that kind of keep me going. You're the ones that motivate me to keep pushing this stuff out. And I'm really excited to see, guys, what this next year holds for the channel. It's just been a blast for me, and I just want to thank you guys for all of that. So today, guys, we're going to go over my 1 year review of my third gen Toyota Tacoma. So for all of you guys that aren't aware, this is a 2020 TRD off-road 4x4 double cab lawn bed. Absolutely love this truck. However, there are a few things I wish I would have done a tad bit differently in the beginning. And that is buying new versus used. Now, the reason I ended up buying used versus new is because I couldn't find a new double cab lawn bed 4x4 TRD off-road with the premium and advanced technology packages. It was just really hard. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a lawn bed with all these things I wanted. And when you really look at the cost of a used Tacoma, especially one that's been kept in pretty good condition versus a new one, there's not a huge difference, guys. We're talking a few grand at that. I think people buy Tacomas not just because they are reliable and they're just iconic and just great vehicles in general, but because they hold their value so well. It's kind of ridiculous. It's just kind of insane. I mean, literally the cost of a used one is almost the cost of a new one. So I want to take a quick pit stop here and come to Toyota of Carlsbad, and let's compare some of the pricing of what a brand new Tacoma is going for as of right now compared to what I paid for mine almost a year ago. And right now it looks like we have a TRD off-road 4x4 double cab lawn bed here. Looks like they still have the stock Bilstein suspension. Looks like they put a little bit of a lift on it. Spacer of some sort. Method wheels. Toyo Open Country RTs. What size are they running on this? 285, 70, R17. Looks like it fits pretty well. They're wanting $52,100. So there's the lift, tires, wheels, Nerf steps. Without it, $43,000. Do you really feel like this package is worth $8,495? Interesting. And today's Thanksgiving, guys, it's pretty quiet. It's pretty quiet. This is a good day to come down to the lot and just walk around and see what's going on. SR5 here, the SX package. $40,000. And guys, what are your thoughts on this third generation Tacoma going away, this V6 platform? I feel like the majority of people that own Tacomas or have been involved in the Tacoma world are very disappointed. However, there are some that are very excited about it. It seems to be a mixed bag. But today, guys, we have a lot of third gen Tacomas out here in Toyota of Carlsbad. Not sure what kind of promotions they are doing for the Thanksgiving holiday. But if you guys are looking for something, you've got a lot of ice cap to pick from here. A lot. Two-wheel drive off-road. Left the door open. It's not good. I'm not gonna touch it. I don't want to be the guy that sets up for car alarm at a dealership on Thanksgiving Day. Well, I don't know if this is accurate. Color says ice cap. Definitely not ice cap. But if the rest of this is accurate, it's got 7,573 miles. It went in 39,995, so just pretty much 40 grand. What kind of goodies they have on this thing. They got stock Bilstein suspension in there still. Predator step-up bars. Everything appears to be pretty much stock on this. Not too shabby. So there you go, guys. This is a prime example of a used TRD off-road that's going for almost nearly as much as a brand new TRD off-road 4x4. Now, obviously, packages vary a tiny bit, but really at the end of the day, there isn't this ginormous difference in the pricing for a 2023 used versus a new. The pricing is not that far apart from each other. So for me, guys, I was very picky with what packages, what colors, what configuration I wanted my Tacoma to be in. And I really had two colors I was going to choose from. It was either going to be a Lunar Rock or a Midnight Black Metallic. And, you know, I wanted the premium and advanced technology packages. I wanted a long bed configuration. There was a lot of things I was looking for when buying a Tacoma. But if you're not dialed in on something specifically that you want, and you're open to cloth seats, and you're open to, you know, a paint color, then you're going to have a lot of options. And I would say buying new is definitely probably going to be a better way to go compared to buying used. Now, next thing I want to touch on, guys, is paint color. I absolutely love the midnight black metallic, but I'm going to be honest with you. If I could go back and do it all over again, I may have pushed a little bit harder for a Lunar Rock just because of how much work it takes to maintain black paint. Now, guys, this is my second vehicle in black, so it's not like I wasn't expecting, you know, this to be in, you know, so demanding as it is, and I wasn't, you know, I had some experience. I had some experience with black paint, so I knew what I was in for. However, it doesn't change the fact that when you get a vehicle with black paint, it either looks really dirty or really clean. And I've probably spent upwards of 40 hours paint correcting this truck. Because once again, I bought it used. So there was some pinstriping, there was some minor scratching, there were some things that I had to work on. And it's taken me a lot of time and effort to get this truck to look the way it looks, which goes back to buying new. You buy new, you shouldn't have any scratches on your truck. But you know, the points that I'm really kind of regretting, like I said, would be the paint color and buying used. And that's really it. And so now, guys, we're going to jump into wins, some losses, and some problems, and future plans with the truck. So let's do this. So the biggest win for me, guys, especially for those of you who've been following my channel from the get-go, would be putting the TRD lift kit on the double cab lawn bed Tacoma. And I did this about a year ago. It was not common. Every dealership I spoke to said that it couldn't be done, that it wasn't compatible. So I ended up going through this whole lengthy process, and I'll do another video on this to kind of give you guys a 1-year review with the TRD lift kit. But basically, I ended up ordering the TRD lift kit from Toyota. They mailed it to me. I took it into a third-party off-road shop. They did a great job, installed the lift and the tires. And guys, it's held up great. I absolutely love this lift kit. And you know, granted, there are way better suspension options out there if you want to go with like Fox, Keen, Locked. I mean, there's just a bunch of other options out there now. But for me, guys, I really wanted to go with an OEM lift kit for this Tacoma build. And this was something I really had my eyes set on. I had the blacked out Heritage Grill that came, you know, for the front of the truck that was OEM. There was just a lot of little things that it was going to tie this Tacoma together for me, and it was going to give me what I wanted. And you know, putting this on and it working as well as it has without any issues, guys, was a big win for me in the last year. Another big win, guys, were these tires. I got these tires for like $700 for the whole set. Bought them used at less than 3,000 miles, but that would be something I would say look at. You know, look at your, you know, OfferUp, Craigslist, eBay. Look for people selling used stuff. You get people all the time that are always changing out their tires at different sizes and stuff, and they have these brand new set of whatevers, and they're just sitting in the garage, and you can negotiate a little bit because they're just literally taking up space for them. So that was a big win. Another thing I would say were wins, and I wish I would have done them a little sooner, but I ended up doing an add-a-leaf from Icon and took out the 1-inch block for the TRD lift kit, and then I also did the East Coast Gear Supply bushing for the front as well. Now, what I will say is when you guys are doing these types of upgrades, you know, if you're going to lift your truck, definitely, guys, go with at least the add-a-leaf by Icon, or go with like a Deaver leaf pack. Don't do the bare minimum and just throw a block in there. I get the block will give you the results you need, and it'll give you the hype, but I just feel like personally you're going to get out of your truck what you put into it. And I feel like, you know, doing something where you're adding more leaf springs is going to give you a much better ride quality. And I shouldn't say I know. I mean, my truck drives so much better with the add-a-leaf versus the block. So if you're going to do something, if you can afford to, do it right. I think you're going to have a lot more enjoyability and success with your Tacoma. And then for that clamshell bushing, guys, you don't have to replace the needle bearing, but I would recommend if you're going to change the geometry, you know, in the front a little bit with a lift or something like that, I would recommend getting the East Coast Gear Supply bushing done while you're in there doing all that work. Because once you have the upper control arm and everything kind of like disassembled a little bit to gain access to this suspension system, you've already got the tire off, you got everything done. You might as well just do the little quick upgrade. You won't have to worry about doing it in the future. And I feel like for me, for the cost of it, it makes much more sense to do it now than to wait until you may have a problem and then have to do it. But guys, there's people that have had their stand-on needle bearing on a lifted Tacoma their whole time, and they say they've had no issues whatsoever. So to each their own, but that's just something that I would recommend doing based off of my personal experience. So guys, let's go over the problems I've had. The biggest problems I've had with this truck would be the torque converter shutter, and that ended up actually being kind of a win for me, because that's what got me into the overland torque tune, which completely transformed my truck. And this isn't going to become an overland torque tune video, but guys, when I got that torque converter shutter, I remember just kind of freaking out inside. Like, you know, this truck was kind of new to me, but it was used, and I had seen a bunch of other people having similar issues on the Tacoma World forums, and their dealerships weren't helping them out, because dealerships a lot of times, unfortunately, seem to try to skate around the problem because they don't have a fix for it. You know, headquarters hasn't given them, you know, some type of TBS or something, or a TSB, I'm sorry, a TSB for something, or they haven't come up with a solution for the problem. So why are they going to say that, yeah, we realize there's a problem, but there's no issue or a way to resolve it? So for me, guys, I remember just having that issue, and I posted a lengthy video on it, probably longer than most of you care to listen to, but it was my experience, and I hope it's helped a lot of people. And that's been the purpose of this channel, guys, to help people work through problems. Nobody, you know, that's the problem with, I feel like, a lot of YouTube channels. People like to talk about their lift and their tires and all this, you know, bling, but then we forget to mention the issues we've had. And I've some of the most helpful videos I've found on YouTube were ones of people talking about the problems they're having with their trucks, because it gave me a window, gave me insight on how they fixed it, or what might be the problem for mine. And so in that video, I really open up about my story with it. But guys, long story short, the shutter was fixed, and Overland Torque Tune, I give them like 99% of the credit. Doing the fluid drain and fills, I don't think hurt anything, but once I got the tune done, that really transformed the vehicle, and the shutter completely stopped, just because I think a lot of it had to do with the way the vehicle was shifting, upshifting just way too quickly based off of the torque that was coming through the vehicle, and the vehicle was not communicating the way it should have. Next problem I had, and I wouldn't say this was really a problem, but I did do the 30K service, and I went a little over and above of what you need to do probably on a 30K service. But for me, being the second owner, I really wanted to dot my I's and cross my T's and make sure nothing was overlooked or missed on that service. And so I did the spark plugs, even though it's not needed. I did a drain and refill on pretty much all of my fluids, and you know, found some dark fluids towards the transfer case and front diff, and you know, found some blow-by on one of my spark plugs. So at the end of the day, was all that necessary? Probably not. But for me, being the second owner, I wanted to get everything looked at. I wanted to have everything drained, filled, and replaced. That would maybe not get done for another 30,000 miles, because I didn't want to just keep driving it if something was wrong. And for a couple of small items, I think it was worth it. For me, it was worth it. Next item I want to go over is the headlights. For those of you guys who did not see my video, I had some peeling and some chipping of this clear coat that they put over the lens of these headlights. You know, it's funny, guys, as time's progressing, headlights are looking much cooler and just a little bit more aggressive, and they're more unique, and they've got like a really cool shape to them. However, you know, it wasn't that long ago that headlights were made out of glass, and you didn't have any issues with them turning yellow and fading and cracking and having this film layer chipping and peeling off. So that's something I've had a problem with, and got them fixed, obviously. Had PPF thrown on them, and there was a whole process I had to go through to get that done correctly. But that would be one item that I would say was a little bit of a disappointing factor. Next would be the charging station. A lot of you guys have probably seen that video, and maybe you've had very similar issues with the, I think they call it the Qi charging station, and had a little bubbling stuff, you know, some like bubbling action going on, where the rubber liner kind of like lifts up because it's not affixed to anything on the charging pad. And ended up, as you could see in this video I did of it, you know, just kind of using some JB Weld cold steel, you know, putting it down, ordering a new one. And the whole process didn't cost me much money, but it was one of those things, like, I never even used the charging station at all, and having it bubble like that was a little bit of a disappointing factor, because I feel like they could have done a lot better of a job with the wireless charger. And from many people that I have heard from, they never even used theirs, and when they did, it didn't even really do them any good. Like, the charging was really slow or non-existent, and it caused the phone to get really hot, and that was about it. So honestly, guys, all things considered, when I really look at this truck, there were not a lot of letdowns or problems. Like I said, let's go over my biggest problems. It was the torque converter shutter. We got that fixed. Bubbling charging station, headlights. And outside of that, everything I've really mentioned, guys, was just really me having to work through some things because the truck was used. And maybe spending a little too much money on a used truck, but that's just the facts that we end up facing when buying a Tacoma, because the resale value is so great. And that's also when, if you go buy one, because you have a vehicle that if you take really good care of it and maintain it well, you're going to have a great opportunity to sell it again, probably at a very close price to what you bought it, depending on how long you have it for and the condition it's in when it comes time to sell it. So guys, my final thoughts with this vehicle, with the Toyota Tacoma in general. Well, to be quite honest, guys, all things considered, I've been very happy with my Tacoma. I'd say the biggest issues I have with the third gen Tacoma, and I think it's going to be a bigger issue as vehicles just age in general, is it seems like as vehicles are becoming newer in essence of their year, make, and model, they're becoming cheap. They're becoming cheaply made. There's a lot of plastic. There's less metal. There's less heavy duty materials being utilized. From the grills that are plastic. I mean, just everything about these vehicles, thinner paint, thinner clear coat. There's a lot of plastic. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but where I'm going with this is I feel like Toyota made a name for itself. When you look at their older vehicles, everything was made out of a heavy duty material, whether it was a steel or an aluminum or some type of metal, whereas now everything is plastic, from the lenses of the lights, from the grill, the bumpers. There's so much plastic everywhere that it's very disappointing to kind of see where the vehicle manufacturers are kind of heading when it comes to the way they're building their vehicles. And I guess for me, guys, that's one of the biggest concerns I have going forward with a lot of the newer generations of vehicles coming out is, you know, the motors they're going to be putting in them, the finishes they're using. Yeah, and plastic looks great for the first year or two of owning it, but what happens after it takes a little bit of a beating, or it's in the sun for a little bit, or it goes through a couple winters on the east or up north in Michigan or Minnesota? You know, these materials are not made to take as hard of a beating as what they used to be made of. Even the interior plastic, guys, you look at this stuff. You know, I look at my dad's third generation 4Runner. Most of the materials that looked like plastic were actually almost like a softish touch material that almost had like a little give to it. There was like a padding behind it. There's still a little bit of that on the Tacoma door panel where it has like a texture look. But, you know, in prior years, almost the entire door was like that. Whereas now it's all a very cheap plastic. And so I understand that vehicle manufacturers are trying to find the way to mass produce things, and by skimming pricing off the top for their costs and then being able to charge almost the same amount, if not more, to the consumer of the product. And I'm not saying that this is just Toyota, because this is across the board for vehicle manufacturers, but I guess as vehicles become newer and supposedly more refined, I feel like the quality of products that are being pushed onto these vehicles to make them is definitely kind of going down the drain. It's definitely decreasing in its quality. And so for me, guys, when it comes to, like, for example, I think the Tundra is a great example. Is, you know, that V8 is no longer available with the Tundra, and the third generation Tacoma is going to be the last V6. And I doubt, I mean, we can always hope, but I highly doubt that Toyota will ever put the V8 back in the Tundra. And going now with the fourth gen Tacoma, I highly doubt that they will ever put the V6 back in there, because once they let the cat out of the bag, once they open the store, all they can really do at this point is just kind of try to improve and refine the product they're making. But trying to go backwards is nearly impossible with emissions and requirements. And it's such a shame that vehicle manufacturers are getting pushed upon them such strict restrictions and requirements for their vehicles that have operated so well and done so great in the past. And in my opinion, there's no need for all the regulations that are now being set forth. It's really just making the product less valuable by decreasing its dependability and reliability. And, you know, I think one of the biggest arguments about this 4-cylinder Tacoma that's coming out is, you know, I'm not going to knock it before I try it. I'm not going to like hate on it. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm going to have products coming out on my Pearline that are going to have the fourth gen on it. So I'm excited for the fourth gen in the essence of it's a new truck, but I would be a lot more excited for it if I saw Toyota kind of just sticking more to its roots. And I get it. You know, they've done a really good job with their hybrid platforms prior to this, but not with a truck. You know, not with a truck. Yes, I get it. If you're driving like a Prius or a very small SUV or something that's not being utilized as more of like a working horse, as a vehicle that you're using to kind of do life with, you know, I just have a lot of reservations because, you know, from the batteries to everything that they use, like there's a lifespan on a lot of this stuff. Whereas before, you know, how many first gen Tacomas are you still seeing out on the street? You know, they're not a ton of them, but you see them. You know, people are racking 300-400, almost 500,000 miles, and it's not that uncommonly seen. So for me, guys, I feel like, you know, this V6 engine, after getting it tuned with the Overland Torque Tune, it made this truck everything I thought it was going to be, that it wasn't when I first bought it. And it's a sufficient amount of power. And overall, guys, if you had to ask me what my, you know, the big circle here, like what would be my biggest thing that I really like about the third gen, is that for me, having the lawn bed, having, you know, all of the interior packages from the premium and advanced tech packages, this truck, guys, is everything I could really ever want or need for my daily life. And I feel like for having a small family, for using it for going to work sometimes, for using it to do Lowe's and Home Depot runs, for taking it off on the trails, or taking it camping with the kids, I feel like this vehicle has done everything I've asked of it. And I think I'm going to get years and years and years and years of enjoyment from it. In fact, this vehicle is one of the few vehicles that I plan to keep forever. I never plan to trade this in. This vehicle is here to stay. If I do get a fourth gen in the future, which will be many years from now, once they've worked out a lot of the initial kinks, the third gen is not going to get replaced with that. This vehicle is here to stay. And I think that as time progresses, just like how the V8 Tundras are becoming very high in demand and people are really trying to either get theirs back or get a hold of one before, you know, all of the Tundras are beat up and have hundreds of thousands of miles on them, I think that these third gen Tacomas will have a very similar fate. I think a lot of people are going to be trying to get a hold of these in the next 15 to 20 years. And probably sooner, but I think in 15 to 20 years, you're going to see a ton of people really wishing they still had that V6 platform, because you're not going to be able to get that anymore. The 4-cylinder turbo hybrid electric setup that they're going with is going to be around. It's not going to be changing anytime soon. And I think there's a lot of value with the third gen Tacoma. So overall, guys, after a whole year of having it, nothing but wins for the most part. A few quality control items that I've mentioned, but really at the end of the day, when you look at the big picture, a great truck that I think is just iconic, and Toyota did a great job with it. They left a few things on the table. I know, like, for example, seating positions is a big problem for a lot of people, but really at the end of the day, there's enough mods now at this point that really fixes a lot of these minor issues, from the drivability with getting it tuned, seat jackers for the seat, which is one of the mods I'm going to be reviewing here very soon. You know, there's almost everything that kind of caused the Tacoma to not be maybe as good as it could have been. There's fixes for it now, but I feel like when you go down to the 4-cylinder turbo hybrid, there's not going to be a lot that you can do to it to create, you know, more enjoyability or more dependability or more reliability, just because of the platform that's coming with that 4th gen truck. I just feel like you're going to be kind of locked in with a engine platform that's going to be really hard to service by yourself. That's going to be very limited to what you can do to it. And I think that there's going to be a lot of complications at first. I wish Toyota the best. I'm not over here trying to down talk or create a discussion where it's just negativity, but I do think Toyota's making a mistake. In fact, I'll leave you guys with this. Was at the Toyota dealership not too long ago, was looking actually at buying a V8 Tundra. It was a TRD Pro. It was all blacked out, but it had a lot of stuff going on with it. The guy who had it prior definitely used the heck out of it. And was looking to add it to the channel. Thought it'd be fun to have a V8 Tundra on the channel. And talking to the salesman, he let me know that he had just bought a 5th gen 4Runner because he didn't want to have to deal with the issues and problems that he thought was going to be taking place when they switched over to the 4-cylinder turbo hybrid on the 6th gen 4Runner that's going to be coming out probably in the next year or so. So for me, when I'm hearing people that have worked at dealerships as salespersons or as mechanics for a very long time, and they're expressing concerns and they're buying up these last generations of V6 platform, you know, Tacomas, 4Runners, and they're trying to get a hold of V8 Tundras, that tells me that we're going down an avenue where people are probably going to get pretty disappointed. We're not going to see the same reliability, dependability. We're not going to see the same time frame that we saw our parents and our grandparents get out of their Toyotas. So guys, I hope I'm wrong, but I just really feel like I said, the Tundra was a great example, and I think we're going to see some similar play out with the Tacoma as years progress. In the beginning, I think everyone's going to rave about it, and it's going to be the greatest lane ever. But as time sets in, I can see a lot of people maybe kind of walking backwards a little bit if they're being maybe honest about that V6 platform versus the 4-cylinder. And if somebody loves, I'm not saying they're lying, but what I am saying is I think we're going to be seeing another vehicle hit the line that is not going to be as awesome as we had hoped. And it's really unfortunate because the Tacoma has been an amazing truck for so long. It's a little disappointing. But anyhow, future plans for this channel, guys. Well, as you saw in the beginning, I have a line of Tacoma apparel I'm working on. Very excited about that. So stay tuned for updates and the latest and greatest of what's coming out off the production line. I've got several mods I'm working on right now, so videos will be coming soon about those mods that I currently have in the pipeline. And guys, I would love to build the community more this year. That's what I want to focus on. I want to focus on meeting more of you guys. I want to focus on getting together, interviewing people, checking out their rides, checking out their rigs, seeing what people are doing, and just kind of building this overall community of Tacoma owners in Southern California. So if you guys have a Tacoma, you're somewhat local in the area, I would love to meet up with you. Throw me a message here at this email below and let me know what you have, what you think, what you're wanting to do, and I would love to maybe do something with you. Last but not least, guys, I am not going anywhere. The 3rd gen content for me is staying. I'm seeing a ton of 4th gen content. I feel like that's all I'm seeing at this point is just people talking about their 4th gens or the 4th gens that are going to be coming out and which ones they're going to buy. No harm, no foul, but if you guys recently bought a 3rd gen, if you're still planning on buying a 3rd gen and you're feeling disappointed and feeling like you're not going to see a lot of relevant content coming out anymore based off of 3rd gens because the 4th gen is taking such a heavy presence, well, rest assured, guys, I will be pushing 3rd gen content for a very long time and looking forward to seeing where things go. All right, guys, until the next one, I'll be talking to you soon. See ya.